Rick, let's get right to it.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Okay, great. The title of this episode is If What You're Doing Is So Good for You, Why Are You Not Experiencing More Joy and Peace?
I'm laughing because that was the whole reason I got into ToBeRe in 2006 or seven. And for those viewers who don't know, Keith had a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to engage people by telling people what he was offering. But instead of saying, I'm a trainer and I can get you in shape, and as a side benefit of getting in shape, you'll have some growth as a human being. No, he didn't do that. What he did was he had a poster that had a cutout, life-size cutout of Keith Jones. And he was like holding something like a sign. And the sign said something like, if you have everything, why aren't you happy? And I was living at a time in my head where I thought I had everything. I had a beautiful home, a fancy car, a good job, a beautiful wife, every check mark you could think of for an alpha male, I thought I had, but I wasn't happy. And I couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with me, why I couldn't be happy. And a lot of it had to do with all of my outer badges of accomplishment were unfulfilling because I was just doing it for somebody else. And I was doing it for a perverted reason. I wanted to be loved and respected by others. I just didn't have the full depth of being a human being, the kind of human being that I wanted to be. So when I saw Keith's sign, I thought, this guy's got it. He's got something for me that I can get. And once I get into the program, I realized eventually, it took me a while, but I realized eventually what the trouble was that I wasn't 100% involved in every moment for the right reason. For the right reason. And I would say up until ToBeRe, I feel confident saying that I was pretty much focused on myself, totally. And the reason I got into ToBeRe was focus on myself because I thought I'd get something out of it that would make me a better person or a more attractive person to other people or a more respected person or whatever the heck it was I was looking for. But it was something, more of the accomplishment crap that was running me. So the reason I discovered in ToBeRe that I was having issues was because I was unable to get myself out of the equation. Now, that's a very contrary kind of idea. But the reality is that so long as I was running about myself, running all of my patterns, my narrative about who I was, about my personal accomplishments or my personal successes, I was missing 50% of life or more. And so what helped me with ToBeRe was the journaling, the emotional writing about what it was feeling like to go through a transformation, losing weight and becoming in shape and thinking about connection to something beyond yourself. And so the thing in ToBeRe that kicked me off, that really put me on the path, was I was able to forget myself. I was able to forget myself, and I did it in the context of uniting with something bigger than me. And it wasn't God. It was other people in the class.
Right.
That act of uniting with someone, a group of people who were more important, I felt at the moment, that were bigger than me, really woke me up, really smacked me in the head. And that started me down my path. So, Mr. Jones, thank you for the 1,000th. And also, I have to say, after losing 50 pounds and getting back into shape and feeling like I'm okay, there is a deep felt gratitude for your efforts, the program. And also, I think you saved my life. So now you're responsible for it.
Thanks, Rick. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate all of that. No pressure. No, but thank you. For me too, if what you're doing is so good for you, why are you not experiencing more joy and peace? It's much of like what you said. I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. I wasn't aware, like sometimes why you're doing it. I wasn't aware that everything I was doing was for that reason, right? It took me a while to understand like why I dated the people that I dated, and or why I dated so much. It was, and I've talked about this before, is that self-validation, right? The ego strokes and things like that. And when you say it out loud, man, it's pretty it's pretty sad, that I was living that way, but it's honest,
That's right.
or blaming your spouse for your unhappiness, like when you really put it down, like, as a human being, outside of those basic needs that are part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs of food, shelter, and clothing, once you get past that, I mean, to be a human being and to need something outside of yourself, uh, when it's within you, right? When it's within you, uh, to me, I was in a sad state because I needed that from other people. I needed to, you know, feel fulfilled by other people, like speaking my love language. How about becoming a person who I don't need that, but what I will do is I'll be loving to others. Like that's something I'm in control of, right? I'm not in control of whether somebody, Keith loves words of affirmation. Keith loves, physical touch, right? So if that's what I love, then that requires other people to do that for me to be whole inside. Or I can be a person who doesn't need that. And that's not that I'm denouncing a need. No, I am like, that's not a need that I have. What I want to do is give love, not have to need it or require people to give it to me for me to feel a certain kind of way. And there's so much love around, man. If it's not coming in the form of a person, it's certainly coming in the form of nature. Like, oh my God, man, that sun rises and it shines on all of us, man. Regardless of what you believe in politically, what your faith is, what color your skin in, or your gender, it shines on everybody the same way. It's love to me. Like beautiful. So it's all there. And I want to show up with people like that. I want to show up like the sun, shining on everybody. Like regardless of you like me, don't like me, or whatever the case may be, I want to do that. And that takes a little bit of work. And another area of why I wasn't experiencing more joy was like loving my job. I had a lot of jobs, Rick, a lot of jobs. And why didn't I love them? I mean, like seriously, like I work at one of the best places at Mayo Clinic. Man, if you don't love that job for the kind of mission that people there are doing, that's not a male thing, man. That's a you thing. And I would have been the same way. And I've had jobs that are really really hard. I didn't like those either. And if I wasn't working on myself, I'd find some reason not to like my job at Mayo. I'd find some reason not to like, what I do in ToBeRe, but instead I love it. And what's the jobs that I love, that I really enjoy, why have I enjoyed them? It had little to nothing to do with what I was getting out of the job. It was what I was giving. Every time I come to ToBeRe, I think about how can I give? How can I serve? I go to Mayo Clinic. I'm thinking about not about what I'm going to get, but what I'm going to give. If you come from that perspective, man, you don't have a bad day at Mayo. Like you don't. And I haven't had a bad day since I've been there. And my friendships, I'm thinking about what can I give, not what am I getting. The moment that I start to feel some suffering is because I've lost sight of that. And I'm thinking about what I'm going to get out of this. Somebody doing what I said they need to do, or how I said they need to do it, or being a certain way. Something's in the mix that's really making it a problem for me to experience more joy. And I just keep thinking about that. I want to experience joy on every level. I want to experience it, joy and peace in my relationships, at my job, when I'm out casually, connecting with other people, meeting strangers. Like no matter what it is, I want to experience joy. And what I'm clear about too is that this whole idea of the title about if what you're doing is so good for you, why are you not experiencing more joy and peace? And what I would also say, consistently or in a sustainable way. And for me, before I would distract myself. I would numb myself out. For me, it came in the form of dating. For other people, it may be drinking, it may be getting high, it may be an addiction to social media, something that takes you away from yourself. And I don't want to do that anymore, Rick. I'm missing too many moments. So I made a choice that I was not going to move through life like that anymore. I was going to move through life in a different way. I was going to work on me so I could experience more joy all the time. And the moment that I became aware that I wasn't experiencing joy, that's where my work is. The moment that I got that my spouse, they're the problem. Nope, they're not the problem. You're the problem. And so you just keep working on that. Unless there's you in some kind of physical danger, just keep working on yourself. Keep working on yourself. And what I found is in doing so, that now I'm doing things that contribute to me experiencing more joy and peace in my life. You want to close this out, Rick?
Oh man, Keith, that's a mouthful. Beautifully said. I think it boils down for me anyway, is once I got my head out of my butt and I realized that my life was really not about my ego or about me, the more I could forget about myself in any equation with another human being, the more that I could forget about self, and focused on being united with something bigger than myself, like another person. That to me meant love. Love is
Yes,
the balm that really solves all of the hurts. That's the thing that's the sandpaper for all the rough edges in life. But it's a counterintuitive thing because we're trying to get something for self that the self can't provide, in the sense of having a contact with something larger than self. So the first step in trying to achieve that enlightened view is to forget about the self and try to focus on the act, whatever you're doing, and uniting with something bigger than yourself, which really means helping other people, being involved in mission, being grateful, being satisfied with what happens in life. You don't mind much what happens to you because you can handle it, but it's not about you. It's not about you. And oh man, that took me and still takes me a lot of energy to realize. But forgetting about self is the key to living in the moment.
absolutely, Rick. I totally agree, man. And since I've continued to let go more and more of me, um, the more joy and peace I've had in my life. I'll end with this. Michael Singer says, every time something hits your stuff, the wise person takes their little self, their personal self, and they hold it out to the world until there's nothing left. And that's what I'm working on. Every time somebody hits my stuff, I'm like, good, man, it's an opportunity to let go more of me, to let go of more of me to what to until what all is left is the consciousness that is threaded through each one of us. That's what I want. Is that. Rick, I love you.
Love that, man. That was a great lesson. Thank you. That's great, Keith. I love you. We'll see you next time.
I'll see you next time. Thank you.